Good tidings, ladies and gentlemen of the Lodge, and welcome back. Today, we're serving you up another Kingdom Hearts video that will dive us back into the Foretellers to explore their characters further and have an idea of what lies ahead for us in the Kingdom Hearts series. For those of you not quite familiar with the channel yet, feel free to check out my Sins of the Foreteller series, where I dive into each individual Foreteller and observe at what points they were guilty of committing the sin that they're named after. However, for every deadly sin, there is a corresponding virtue. For example, our man Ira here is directly named after the Latin word for wrath, ira. The corresponding virtue to wrath is patience. And I'm here today to show you that even though we saw several examples of Ira's wrath come into play, I truly believe he embodied the virtue of patience more so than the sin wrath. Before moving forward, let's just make sure we have a sound understanding of patience. The virtue patience, which runs parallel to wrath, is often characterized through forgiveness and mercy, but can be defined as the bearing of provocation, annoyance, misfortune, or pain without complaint, loss of temper, irritation, or the like. When examining Ira's behavior in back cover, we see him embody this virtue continuously, even though at times he may falter. So strap on in as we go through these characterizations and definition and show you exactly where Ira embodied them. For starters, Iras Patience is immediately referenced in his first scene here with the Master while discussing his thorough read of the Book of Prophecies. Before we learn anything about Ira, within seconds of dialogue, we already see his patience at work.
So, did you look through the book?
Yes, but I'm still analyzing it.
Wow, no quick skim for you, huh?
However, the crux of this scene, I believe, focuses in on Iras Mercy. We see this play out when they begin discussing the final passage, which prophesizes that the worlds will fall to darkness. When the Master implies that himself and the Foretellers should be focusing on the aftermath of this event, Ira's concern immediately goes towards everyone else who will be endangered by this Keyblade War. Even though his master seems content with letting the events play out and then focusing on the aftermath, Ira takes the opposite approach. He outright wants to prevent the war from happening altogether. The master's plan for him and the Foretellers was of no concern. Ira instead immediately thought of the safety of all of the unions.
What do you want us to do?
We have to focus on what comes after. There's no use thinking of ways to change events that we know are gonna happen.
But what about all of those who are here now? And the ones who will be here when the darkness finally comes? Are we to abandon all of them?
In being introduced to Ira in this scene, we see the very best of him. We see his patience as a thorough reader. We then see his mercy and benevolence play out as he remains concerned about the fate of the world. While we do end up seeing that Ira is a flawed leader, this scene certainly solidifies a lot of the leadership qualities that he possesses. There's another quick display of Iras Mercy later in back cover when he goes looking for Gula. When Ava stands in defense of Gula, Ira quickly backs off, in all likelihood because he wanted to avoid any sort of physical confrontation.
Tell me where he is.
But why? What are you going to do?
None of your concern.
Don't.
What?
I won't let you near him.
So that's it. All right, I'll go.
This is evidenced by not only the preceding scene, which we will get into in a minute, but when you think about it, Ira successfully avoided confrontation in all of back cover. In fact, he is the only Foreteller who didn't turn on a Sed or draw his weapon in this battle. Now, he does eventually draw his weapon and do battle in the Keyblade War, but we have Ava and Lushu to thank for igniting that fire. Anyway, that's going to move us into our next characteristic, being that of forgiveness. Iras' forgiveness is put on full display in this scene here, where he finds a Sed fatigued and beaten down in an alley. And in case you haven't been paying attention, these two have been beefing pretty hard.
Ira, some leader you are. You've managed to plant seeds of doubt in all of us with that speech.
So a Sed is the traitor after all.
But not only does Ira extend a hand of forgiveness to a Sed, but we see him extend that same sort of kindness towards Gula quickly after.
You still count me as one of the 5 lights?
Of course.
Only you could be such a good guy after everything we've been through. But hey, I guess that's one of the reasons I respect you so much. But who knows what his real intentions are? What I do know is that I'll never forgive him for hiding the fact that he knew someone would betray us. That's the biggest betrayal of all.
I'd like to believe that Gula was simply carrying out his role.
Examples like these show us the virtuous nature of Ira. Even though he at times is quick to judge or may even appear to jump to conclusions, more often than not, he is rather poised in his demeanor, applies patience thoroughly while reading the Book of Prophecies, extends a hand of forgiveness towards his fellow foretellers, and concerns himself deeply with the safety and well-being of the unions. But that's gonna do it for our man Ira here. What do you guys think? In my opinion, it would appear to me that Ira is far more virtuous than he is a sinner. He, of course, is not without his shortcomings and flaws, but even in a movie as short as Back Cover, we see his virtuous nature grow. But anyway, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and I will see all of you beautiful sickos and normies next time.